Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2, where I'm able to introduce the Terran player in the red, the 7-time GSL champion. It's the man, the myth, the Maru. But no pushover on the other side, a former world champion and the fastest player in the world. It's the Italian stallion. It's Reynor. A best of 3, TVZ. And we're starting out early as a Roach Warren is on the way for Reynor to kick things off, trying to keep Maru in check. Giving me only a little opportunity to check if you've liked and subscribed. And Jimmy, I know it was bad. 1,249 likes on this video, on this cast, on this series. And I'll cast another one. And I'll probably do it anyways. I don't know what else I would do. But thank you for watching. Hopefully you've had a good day so far. And hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better. And Maru, of course, 3 CC. 3 command centers. They kind of come with Maru being in the game, it seems. He has 1 Marine. Even Big Gabe would struggle against a half-dozen Roach. Did he scout? Psh, scouting. For casuals. For people who aren't confident in their ability to hold everything with 1 Marine. Reynor is doing a committed all-in against a command center first. Currently, Maru has 2 Hellions and 2 Marines, which, I don't know, if you're new to StarCraft, that is, not very much. Alright, write that down. And he's getting 2 engineering bays behind. This is the greediest nerd. There's a reason he's won the 2nd most prize money overall, but Reynor has everything he needs and then some to bust through. We could be looking at a very quick game 1. The wall is finished. The Cyclones are out. He'll be able to take down one of the Roaches. It takes him, actually loses the SCVs. The boys are holding. The bunker can't finish, right? Yeah. The bunker's not going to finish, so there's nothing really to put in. Just a couple Marines. Maru doing a surprisingly great job of holding the door with just a few SCVs, with duct tape and a box of scraps, and MacGyver's his way into not being dead. But that's a long way from being able to stop this outright. The SCVs on top of the Zerglings. Well, really more the other way around, but 13 dead so far. The Hellion even jammed up. It's like up in the corner. An Overlord wanders in. I don't think that was intentional. And Maru plummets to a 3-worker lead. Reynor unable to break through, and a 3 command center Terran is never dead. And that's usually more of a conversation. Wow. Maru has exactly 1 Marines. And he's like, it's time to get 1-1. Okay, this isn't a MOBA, Maru. You do usually want more than 1 unit, but he's looking towards the future. God, the almost disrespectful confidence with which he just starts the upgrades. And you know what? If you're able to defend that sort of attack with like a few strong gestures and 2 Cyclones, well, I think maybe you can get away with it, but Reynor is not going to leave it to lie here. He knows he didn't do enough damage. Honestly, quite an underwhelming amount for how much he had. A whole lot came together there, but Maru, and another round of Roach Ravager on the way. Those Hellions, the unsung heroes here, as they were able to take out so many Zerglings as they tried to come up the ramp, and held the line with the SCVs. They're still just Zerglings. There's no wall. The Marines are caught in front again. The Cyclones are jammed up. The Hellions were caught by the Roaches on the field. And that means the Zerglings are going to get in. And the Cyclones are forced back. Another one down. Another one bites the dust. And another set of Roach Ravager comes in. 6 more SCVs dead. Maru still has a 10-worker lead. There is a single Marine to put in. Well, he's got his choice here. A surprisingly good real estate market for Marines. But now the SCVs. Now, finally, Reynor takes the worker lead after slaughtering dozens. Here's the last dozen or so. He still has 21. Another Marine gets in. Wait, is that an SCV? No, a 2nd Marine made it, and a siege tank. Maru gets a tank done. 1-1 is done for these Marines, by the way. And Maru isn't dead. He's down to as many workers as he started with. And I think Reynor is finally saying, well, that is going to have to be that. Huh. Evolution chamber on the way. Maru, his stalwart. It feels like one of those, like, if I lose, I lose. But if I win, I'm way ahead. Like, getting those upgrades. He has stim done. But the siege tank does terrible, terrible damage to Marines and Zerglings alike. And Reynor tries to come in again. Couple, Mule will drop, but that siege tank on the high ground. How many kills are? 17 kills already. Reynor has killed 49 SCVs and lost 118 Zerglings in less than 8 minutes. All right. I think many players would be hard-pressed to make 49 SCVs or produce 118 Zerglings, let alone do anything else with them in that amount of time. But Reynor, well, fastest doesn't always mean most efficient. In fact, a lot of the time, it's near the opposite. And here, Reynor, the quantity of Zerglings unable to match the quality of Maru's units. So this leaves us in a very awkward spot. Maru has the mid-game longevity. He has the ability to bounce back economically. Right now, his income is still better than Reynor's because those mules are worth around 5 SCVs apiece while they're mining. And of course, since he got the orbitals right off the bat, they're always mining. It doesn't take a genius to figure out what Reynor's doing now. The only thing Reynor could be doing that would surprise Maru is another all-in. And honestly, if he held those first two with little to no scouting, I don't think he's too worried about a third one. But now the double drop's heading out. Reynor is just now starting a lair. That is obscenely late, both in the scheme of this game and in general. 9 minutes in. Sometimes a hive is done by then. Of course, there's been so many heated conversations between these two already. Now we haven't had an opportunity. Maru, 37 workers. He's really focused on the unit count. Those 1-1 Marines with stim and combat shield, though, the queens, they're not dying! They're not, oh my god! Maru went straight into the medevac drop, understanding his advantage was in the upgrades and the sustainability of the Marines, and those Marines are fighting through almost literally everything. They got down the queens, they've taken out the Zerglings, a few drones taken as well. The medevac is gone, and these Marines will eventually die, but they'll take more than their equal number of resources with them. Oh my. So how did that go? Okay, it looks a little closer on this tab, but believe me you. Well, really, it comes down to the larva. Reynor, that's off-center. Oh, no. Yeah, the base is a little... the indicators in the current map pool, to my best understanding, are not deliberately misleading. So that means, Reynor, it's really not that big a deal. You put a few more drones on it, whatever. It looks bad, and everybody in the YouTube comments is going to point it out, so we got to get there preemptively. Like and subscribe. Reynor finishes 1-1, but Maru already has 2-2 almost done. This is madness. I can't believe the disrespect / almost ignorance of his weaknesses. And that, I feel, is a teachable moment. Almost too much so. Like, for every Bronze League hero who sees a Zerg load into the game and build 17 turrets, Maru, instead, only builds 2 bunkers for 2 Marines, doesn't scout, 3 command center, and still holds a Roachling all-in. Now, of course, the details matter. I would not recommend doing no scout, 3 command center, and trusting I'll just micro out of it. Okay, because the number of people who are able to just micro out of it, I can name on 2 fingers, maybe 3. Which is a weird way to name people. But anyways, count, not name. You got it. But Reynor, we are kind of consolidating back at where you would expect. Just about 4 or 5 minutes past that point, where Reynor is opting towards the hive. He's got 70, give or take, drones. He's adding a few more, adding another base, constantly building more gas gauzers and the like. Maru has 3 bases. The big standout are the upgrades, with Maru already going for 3-3. But he just doesn't have... I think he just put his production together, and now he's getting Barracks 6, 7, and 8, as well as that 4th command center. Reynor has been building a lot of units, kind of expecting a move out from Maru. I think Maru's content. Well, a move out indeed, but he picks up the medevacs and heads towards the main. The Overlord spots it. He doesn't know exactly how much is in there. It could be nothing, technically, but quite unlikely. Marines will drop out. Reynor rebuilds the hatch. A couple Widow Mines mixed in here. And throws out a Corrosive Bile. Takes 2, though. Another Widow Mine trying to get the shot on it. Succeeds in picking it off. The Ravager is quite helpful for picking off emplaced. Well, really anything. Liberators, tanks, Widow Mines. They are kind of a clunky unit to have in the later game, is why you don't see them quite as much. The Zerglings will overrun. Maru doesn't have the upgrade advantage right now, and even if he did, getting surrounded by Zerglings as you come out of the medevac is not a good way to start your attack. Reynor has now, I would say, recovered. He has his hive. Didn't start Adrenal Glands yet, but he's starting 3-3. Maru will have an opportunity with, Maru will have an opportunity with 3-3 done and essentially a maxed out bio army to fight Reynor. And Reynor, I'm sure Maru knows this as well. Reynor does not like infestors. Or maybe he loves infestors and doesn't like watching them die. But I don't think that's it. Reynor will only, pretty much when he's entirely out of money and only has gas, or has lost several, at least 1,000 Zerglings, then he may consider infestors. We'll see if that trend holds true here. But, like most Zerg players not named Dark or Cyril, infestors feel like a liability, and something that takes away from controlling the rest of the army. We'll see if Reynor regrets that. As right now, plenty of minerals, not much gas. Ultra's Cavern on the way. 3-3 is now done. Maru, a Widow Mine field at the 4th. The Marines are standing their ground and holding it. Oh my god! Well, upgrades are pretty good. That's all I have to say about that. Kills 73 Zerglings with 10 Marines dead in the last 30 seconds or so. Marine is on the Reaper Cliff high ground. Purgatory there. There should be vision. Yep. Shooting down at everything, but going to be taken out. Medevac, a strong gust of wind would blow it away. A stronger gust is needed for the medevacs to the north side. Reynor holding on and building his Vipers now. What was that? Oh, it was just a Zergling. Adrenal Glands done. And Reynor's closing in on 3-3. So despite all the topsy-turvy early game, the more, I guess, moderate mid-game, we are now in the full late game. Both players have huge economies. They've got most of their basic upgrades and are now filling in the more complicated parts of the army composition. Huge counterattack. The Queen's holding the line. Whole bunch of Zerglings headed directly down the center, where Maru doesn't have much. He's actually ripping through the barracks. Melee attacks level 3 about to complete. His burrow done at least for the Lings. Indeed it is. Maru never built a wall at the top of the ramp. Not since the beginning of the game, and the Zerglings will get into the mineral lines. SCVs will again be terrorized by the Zerg rush. And now, the minefield being diffused while Reynor keeps Maru busy on the other side of the map. 630 APM. Maru no slouch at 460 himself. Which, to play Zerg at this level without those spellcasters is definitely a trial of just endurance, let alone anything else. And, whoa! Now, Parasitic Bomb, but Chase is down. Gets one medevac, but Maru is marching forward. And a huge counterattack once again. Zerglings headed in towards the main. There are some reinforcements here, but still no wall. Maru pressing in towards the 6 o'clock base. He's got an army headed towards the north. Banelings and Ultralists. Oh my, here as Maru's army to the north side. Reynor is in Maru's main. Maru is breaking through on the flanks. There's almost no Marines left to kill the Vipers. The infrastructure is under attack. The hatchery, Maru gives Reynor an opportunity to put that hatchery in the correct position, which is very kind of him. Maru takes out 2 hatches. Reynor takes out a lot of the production. How many barracks does Maru has 6 barracks. 1 is currently burning. Scans have to be used. There's no anti-air except for Vipers and Queens, and I don't know where the Vipers ended up throughout that fight. Maru building half a dozen more racks or floating them in. I'm not sure which one it is there. And now Reynor on the attack again. Maru has not replenished his supply, partially because his add-ons and his production were reset by the Zergling counterattack. 4 more Ultras are on the way, as Reynor maintains this incredibly mobile composition that is reliant on taking the Terran somewhat off guard. But it's so fast, it's almost impossible not to. The drilling claws Widow Mines in the mineral line, but dangerous to Zerg and Terran alike, except for Widow Mines, which is a remarkable exception. Ghosts somewhere get a snipe, but not on the Ultras. And Liberator pin-cushioning Zerglings. The fight is happening absolutely everywhere, all of the time. He could yank the Liberators out of it. There's not enough Ravagers to deal with it. The Ghosts are lining up their shots at point-blank range. Will snipe through some of the Ultras. Another one hit by the Liberator enough to get driven away. 20 SCVs down. Maru is losing more to his own Widow Mines. 22 SCVs in total during the assault. 576 Zerglings are dead. But Maru holds the line. And Reynor, finally, he reaches down, he pulls out the Prima Strategy Guide, something that he might be older than, or younger than, and says, wait a second, what's this? An infestor. A single infestor, but sometimes it only takes one. One infestor to rule them all. Pop up at the right time and fungal the ghost. And potentially turn it around from there. As the ghosts are, well, Ultras, weathering the Liberator fire in order to take out yet another planetary, but 18 drones! Oh my god! Widow Mines. And they're recharging. 18 drones. Knocks Reynor down to 65. 2 bases of Widow Mines here. Oh, but he doesn't see it on the other side. Reynor will rebuild. He's building even more infestors. A medevac wanders in. How many medevacs in total? He's got 11 medevacs, 7 Liberators, 12 ghosts. Another shot. 21 drones down. Reynor does not have the money. He's now building 5 infestors. It's gotten to that point where he simply needs them to deal with this army composition because your conventional Zerg doesn't get the job done. The ghosts annihilating that Ultralisk. Always so gruesome. The Zerglings, but the Liberators are covering. So, I believe there's an infestor somewhere around those parts. Reynor losing another base, but Maru is starting to stabilize. He's at 200 supply. Reynor struggling to reach that mark. And now, the army supply. Some corruptors on the way. He has +1. Oh my. The infestor pops up at point blank range, throws out a fungal. He's able to chew through some. More infestors on the back line. So the threat is there. Maru's gonna have to start scanning across the board. How many orbitals? Only 3. Which is definitely not what you're looking for here. Long distance mining, Reynor. Not an ideal scenario to be doing so. Still a Widow Mine down there. Zerglings. The ghosts, well, he only cloaks a few of the ghosts. Smartly done. Scan catches the lings. So the one thing Maru doesn't have is either a Raven or a lot of orbitals. He's actually been floating his orbitals around, which makes this a very tense situation still. A lot of the time, we see these sort of kind of close situations where the Terran has 12 orbitals. It can scan the entire map and drop mules simultaneously. This is not one of those. Maru does need to hold on to his bases. He's building 2 more command centers. He is maxed out. So he's starting to bank money here, which means Reynor needs to turn this train around. which is a difficult thing to do because of just how trains work. Let's not be so literal. Moving on. And the Ultras, but a Widowmine. Oh, the scan barely misses the Infestor, and that's a huge deal. He gets one fungal out there. The snipes from the high ground, though, just obliterating the Ultras. Parasitic Bomb, incredibly helpful, but Ghosts are knocking the entire ground army out of the map, of the game, of existence. My God, the amount of snipes. How many? In the last 3 minutes, we've seen snipe used 76 times. Which includes probably the majority of 7 Ultralisks. Some of those Infestors, 180 Lings. I doubt they got sniped. You could just auto-attack. But now the Queens. Reynor. There's no sort of turnaround unit composition right now. He needs the fungals and he needs the fight. There's still a relative lack. Yeah, another scan, another fungal. It's getting the job done. These Ultras close the distance, and they cleave through. But he's lacking detection. The snipes, oh, gets another fungal, but there's nothing to follow it up. The Infestor goes down to the mine. The Corruptors try to get involved, but it's not enough. The mines. They're backstopping the army. But Reynor can only build a trickle of Zerglings and a handful of Ultras, and that's not going to cut it. Maru has survived the Zerg, and now he's on the doorstep of victory. After that hectic and near, well, Maru probably would have said it, but after that absolutely hairline start there, one of the thinnest defenses he could have made. The game easily could have ended at the 5-minute mark, but Maru persevered. And it almost... It almost seemed like overconfidence, but when it pays off, it's just confidence. As getting those upgrades, getting those command centers. And now, despite Reynor's strong efforts, it looks like Maru should be able to knock him out of game 1. The Infestors just weren't enough. He didn't line up the Ultras and the Banes. The army right now, 2 Ultralisks, 5 Infestors, 2... I mean, the Infestors all around, burrowed like Widowmines around the map, but... if you don't have the damage to follow it up the fungal, it takes... if there are no medevacs, it takes 4 fungals in a row to kill a Ghost. There's more than none medevacs right now, so... the Widowmines, the Ultras try to get involved, but it's already too late. The EMPs land, and Maru tearing through everything else. Wow, what a defense, what a turnaround, what a confident play from Maru. This is the Maru that we've seen in the past. This is the 7-time GSL champion. Just the casual confidence to defend and just continue fighting. I bet Reynor quite upset with that one. Not something I'm rooting for, obviously, but when you know against a 3-3, you really should be getting, if not game-ending, critical damage done against a 3cc Terran. They shouldn't be able to hold that. It was a combination of Maru having perfect micro and a bit of indecision out of Reynor that led us to a 1-0 lead here. Alright. Looks like we had a pause, but we don't stop for anyone. Alright, unless you paused to like and subscribe. In which case, you know what, I'll forgive you. Every second is worth paying 100% attention to. I couldn't agree more. Even I don't pay 100% attention 100% of the time. But that's why you're even better. Maru again, scouting us for nerds. And he's not a nerd, he's a champion. So, not a command center first, but a 1 Rax expand no gas. So the next closest thing And I'm gonna assume he just builds a third command center. Because he's Maru. And he can get away with it. Yep, this time around, Reynor not opting for, any sort of early aggression. It's going to be 3 hatcheries. About the exact same time those command centers are coming up. Marines to the watchtower. 3 Marines is an odd number. I mean, obviously, but seeing 3 Marines at this stage, no Reaper, it rarely do you just do a 1-Rax expand in current year and build Marines. Like, it's a Reaper, it's a Reactor, it's something. And Reynor trying to poke in, get some info. 3 gases from Maru, which, of course, he wasn't mining gas until this point. He's doing a very dramatic build where he shifts from full economy into building up that infrastructure quickly once he has those mules. And so far, you're going to get a factory as soon as possible here. Reactor on the low ground. Two factories. Mech. Now, is it mech or is it just a bit of a bio-curious build? So we get, oh, 3 factories. Okay, it's mech. 2 factories can be like a cyclone into marine timing. You could go a long way down the mech route before switching into bio and still get away with it. Yeah, there we go. 3 factories. All right. Is this a classical mech? Like, not Cyclone, maybe a few Cyclone, but like straight into siege tanks and up. Oh, that's a fake stim. I can't believe he's actually building the stim and not just getting like concussive shells. He's trying to sell Reynor on it right now. Oh, certainly. Yeah. Now he's like, actually, I'm going Marines. This is for my 8 Marines. I wouldn't put it past him, but I don't think it's likely. The Overlord. Oh, come on. If there was an add-on, I don't think it would have given it away, but if there was an add-on, he would have seen it. God. Oh, he's so close, yet so incredibly far. Now, what do you do if you know it's a mech over some sort of your more standard stim bio build? Well, usually you want Ravagers or Roaches or some combination of the two. You can't really have one without the other, but as opposed to just Ling Bane, you need something to not just get kited across the map, especially off creep. The fact there's no Roach War in here leaves Reynor kind of forced into mass Zergling Baneling, which is certainly not the ideal counter to Blue Flame Hellions. Maru breaking out. He's faking the stim. Are you kidding me, Maru? He fakes the stim again. It's a little late now. I think he knows. The Cyclones have arrived and begun the Clone War has. The Queens. Well, the Queens trying to hold. They're going to take a lot of damage to the Cyclones, but doing whatever he can. And the Zerglings get into the natural and into the main. Baneling's rolling in. Zerglings in Maru's main currently should be losing some SCVs. So far, not too many. The Cyclones just survived most of this attack. The Queens, get off my creep! But the Cyclones kiting back. The Queen energy was so high, they were able to keep it together, but the creep is running out and Maru's still kiting. I can't believe how little, it was off camera the whole time, because I just assumed the Zerglings would get cleaned up, but they got cleaned up so quickly, only 5 SCVs died. Reynor still, I think, handled that near perfect. That was... He didn't lose... How many queens? He lost 3 queens. He lost a few dozen Zerglings. It could have been much, much worse. And it still could be, as this army composition builds up remarkably fast. The Cyclone, the door shuts behind him, which means the Cyclone will die. They'll expect one of us in the wreckage, brother. But he doesn't get in with the Zerglings. A 4th command center is about to finish. Reynor, 67 drones on a half-hearted lair tech right now. The queens are so low on energy. They can't keep this up. The transfuses. The Zerglings looking for the wraparound. Blue Flame is done, but a lot of those Hellions are already badly bruised. The Banelings roll through. And it's not going to be enough. Maru's mech is being made mincemeat of by Reynor's meticulous micro and his masterful macro, as his meandering Zerglings make easy work of... No, we're going in circles now. 1-1 actually affects the Cyclone attack. When it was switched with the newest balance patch, it turned the lock-on into an auto attack effectively, which means it's not spell damage anymore. It is affected by upgrades, which is overall a nerf, but also makes those upgrades quite important. Overall a nerf in a vacuum. But as for the utility of the Cyclone, well, I'm sure both these players would have some strong statements on that. More factories. Starports are for nerds. Marines are for nerds. Cyclones. All right. Are not for nerds. That's all I got. Oh hell, Ian's as well. 2-2 on the way, both sides, similar timings. Reynor adding some Hydras in as long as he can keep enough in front of him. That range DPS is going to be incredibly helpful. Looking for the full wraparound here. A lot of the Hydras could be taken out. The Hydra is closing in. Does he have muscular augments? He does. He can close the distance. But the Cyclones are kiting back. And the Cyclones cost only marginally more than the Hydras. 125 versus 100 minerals, 50 gas apiece. It is a bit of a different equation than we saw even last year. But obviously this fight not going so great for Maru. Loses almost half a dozen Cyclones. The Blue Flame Hellions siege tanks have arrived on the field, but maybe a little bit too early as Maru retreats back. He's building 5 tanks at a time. Wow. Infestation pit on the way. Reynor holding his own. Like, this is a unit composition that slowly but surely Reynor is tailoring his army to deal with. He still needs that hive tech as soon as possible. The siege tanks, no. That's gonna be a no for the Hydras. Backs off immediately. It ain't gonna happen. Reynor trying to take the northern base, but Maru, surprise, is already there. And that's not a good feeling. Seeing a mech player taking the rich Vespine geyser. The tanks trying to use this ramp, but there's not really anything in front of the Hydras. The Blue Flame Hellions close in. Oh, and well done, those Hydras. Roasting his way through. Maru jumps to a 25 supply lead. The hive is not complete. It's not even close at this point. And without any Vipers, it's getting more and more difficult to break this army anywhere close to cost effectively. Maybe even at all. The Hydra's working their way forward. The Queen's coming down behind. The Creep gonna help sew a few together with Transfuse. 2-2 finishing across the board. And the Queens again are pulled. And the Queens again are the difference between defeat and potentially at least living to fight another day. I was gonna say victory, but that was maybe too much to ask. Some more creep out in the front. The Transfuse is almost gone. The Queen's battered and bruised, but still holding it together for now. Another round of Zerglings. The tanks battering from the back line and still moving forward. Maru about to obliterate everything off the creep, but Reynor is still reproducing. He's got the hive done. A Viper begins. Brenda, no! The Queens are taken out. Maru is still pushing forward. There's no counter damage. his production will continue across the entirety of the map. There's nothing killing SCVs. Maru has 93 SCVs. His income is massive right now, more than even Reynor's. And without those Vipers, the siege tank count is too damn high. And one of the Vipers almost taken out by the Cyclones right off the bat. Maru saw the Vipers. He knows the threat. But if he keeps those tanks spread, the spread's good right now. I can't believe it's not butter. 6 drones down, I think, to the base to the south. Desperate for a blinding cloud. Yanks a tank and still gets a shot or two. Gonna eat the Baitling Nest just to have an opportunity. And Reynor his back up against his own hatcheries here. Yanks in some more. Gonna lose one of the Vipers. The Cyclones. Still a danger. Some zoning anti-air. 3-3 on the way for Maru. Nothing with the sword for Reynor. Beautiful arc with the Hydras. But the concave might not be enough. Yanks in another tank. Not using Blinding Cloud because he can't really close the distance. The Hydras are gonna split again. But they're melting. They're burning. They're falling apart. The tanks at point blank range. And 1 or 2 will be taken down. But Reynor has nothing to support the Vipers. The Hydra count. God, what a slugfest between these two. I don't think Reynor has anything left in the tank here. Maru has ground his way through. Meching it happen. +3 is done. Reynor, incredibly hard fought. God. 80 Hydras. But it's not enough. Maru, meching it happen. Powers through. What a game. Definitely something. Honestly, that's the kind of build, besides the not dying to early all-ins, that's something you can take home and maybe use in your own games for the 4 of you who actually play. But that brings us, after that epic series, to some more Maru in our anti-spoiler bonus game. All right, which we're calling the final game in the comments to not spoil by talking about the anti-spoiler game. Thank you, guys. But wow, it's up again. Maru versus Showtime, by the way. Where Maru also uses some of the handpicked. But Maru with that is the GSL champion confidence. All right. Where he just trusts himself and his build. He did 2 different styles that are not the meta. I guess players like Maru define the meta, of course, but 2 entirely unique styles that end up putting him... I can't believe he held. That really should not happen. Speaking of a bunker. Okay, we're going to have to talk about this, but just one more thing. I can't believe he held that Roachling all in. Alright, you know how many ladder points I've lost to Zerg players who have microed that in order of magnitude worse than Reynor? Winter, are you trying to tell us you're not as good as Maru? I know it's a shock. I'm so modest, really. I think that's one of my greatest strengths, is my modesty and how humble I am. And how well I'm able to commentate a bunker in the mineral line. Like and subscribe. Maru with the Proxy Rax Reaper into bunker in the mineral pocket. With the SCV all tucked in there, which might look like something you can easily pick up, but I'm sure he will dodge the shots of the Stalker if it even tries to get close. Showtime builds on the low ground. I am interested. Like Showtime is a light of Protons. Unfortunately, that means he is a defensive, more macro-oriented player. And a lot of the time, great against early cheeses. But at the end of the day, when Maru wants to get a bunker in your base, he's going to get a bunker in your base. And And here we are. There's the salvage. It loses an SCV in order to deny the mining of the natural this entire time. Now it's going to be reactored Cyclone into a medevac for Maru. Oh, actually, nice dodge down on the star. Get him! Finally!
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Fine. That one feels good. But what did he actually deny? Because at this stage, he saw the Stalker count having more. I wouldn't expect a Stargate out of it. If I'm Maru in this situation, once again, comparing myself. Easy, you know. Stop. We're going to stop that. Hopefully. But with that many Stalkers early, you're really not expecting the Stargate. So I think the Stargate may very well catch Maru off guard here. Because more likely to be Blink and just Stalkers. So that means, yeah, he picks up one Cyclone. The other one will drop out. He gets one. And that's dispatched with ease. At least he's able to get out with the medevac. But the Cyclone drop much more effective against someone who's trying for Blink or Robo. But the somewhat delayed Stargate ends up shutting down at least the initial aggression. Looks like what was picked off over there, another Marine. Oh, but the Cyclones, they actually have bonus damage against the Phoenixes, which are very technically mechanical. The Stalker, microed back, barely survives. Shield battery at the natural, Robo as well. Immortal in production. That's going to be incredibly important in dealing with this. Yes, the Stalkers and the Phoenixes can help, but he needs something with a little bit more punch. Oh no, a Liberator sieges up into the main. Will drag the Phoenixes potentially out of position, but thankfully for Showtime, he does have the shield battery at the natural. I think that's what causes Maru to pull back, turn around, realize that once Showtime sets all of his efforts on dealing with it, and of course Maru has 3 CC and 2 engineering base on the way. So he's relying entirely on this kind of clone hit squad. Oh, well, in order to keep Showtime at bay. And so far, well, I think he's been successful. He's lost 2 Cyclones, but he's kept Showtime from a 3rd Nexus. Or, well, right up until now, and he's already got a 3rd orbital on the way. Gets most of the Cyclones out, which kind of precludes any sort of Phoenix harass, any sort of opportunity to cut down on the SCV count. And the Cyclones can help zone out the Phoenixes for the impending Ravens. He's actually researching Interference Matrix, which is a cheap upgrade nowadays for the Raven. Allows you to lock down technically Archons and Sentries, but much more likely to be used for Immortals, Colossi, Warp Prisms. Gives that Raven a lot of utility. And of course, then you have detection for the Observers as well, as one of the Observers already driven away. So Showtime will have a pretty good idea of what he's dealing with. Accidental Reaper there. Pretty good idea of what he's dealing with. Now the question will be, what does he do about it? It's going to be Colossi on the way, +1 in production. Observer is taken out. Raven is revealed. I think you have to treat the Raven like it has Interference Matrix. Not everyone opts for the upgrade, and there's no real way to know till it's used against you. But I think you do have to just assume that he's going that direction. Oh, and 2 Ravens from Maru. Really looking to limit Showtime's unit composition. But Showtime, adding on 4 more gates, well, that'll bring him up to 8. And charge in production. So, with all of that together, he should be able to match Maru on the field. It's going to come down to the timing of the interference matrices, any other Raven spells. If there's a Templar Archives, maybe you could use feedback in order to negate the Ravens early on. Unlikely to be for Storm, as that is quite a reach at this stage of the game. Armory on the way. things kind of slow down. We do have that lull where neither player is really able to... The armies are so dangerous to each other. If you're caught in a bad position, you may lose the game near immediately, which is why both players kind of sitting back until they finish up their upgrades, their composition. Ooh, the Ravens scrambles both Colossi here. The ground army, oh, and another army comes in from the south, and the Colossi about to be unfrozen. But Maru has already done so much damage. 2 Colossi, concussive shells, +1 is about to complete. One of the Ravens is taken out, cancels the Nexus, but Showtime has already lost a significant chunk of his supply. Maru just shaving away the army and the Nexus. He's got a 4th command center. This is some world-class Terran. I don't know. There were a few months last year where it wasn't clear whether Maru was really still, honestly, putting the effort in. A few rough months where he dropped out of GSL in the first round after winning it. So that definitely tells the story. But yeah, I'm starting to think Maru might have been practicing a bit more recently, as everything here has a clear intent, a clear purpose. But what's unclear is what Showtime's going to do. Maru's army is about halfway across the map, where Showtime is knocking on the door. There's some Vikings. The Showtime recall, because here comes the bio targeting the Robo. It's already dead. There's not enough energy to recall at this Nexus, and now there's no Nexus to recall to. Showtime's just going for it. You know, they say don't base trade a Terran, and I think this might be one of those scenarios. Showtime feels obligated. The anti-armor missile softens things up. The production under fire now. If you're going to recall, he doesn't have energy for recall. Showtime has been chrono boosting 2R, but the Zealots into the main. The boys are pulled at the natural. Only a handful of Vikings. The Widowmines are recharging. The Raven is taken out. The Bio Army, there's no medevacs here, but there's also barely any Protoss, and Showtime just taps it out. 51 SCVs died in that last assault, but Showtime's army crumbles as well. A masterful game out of Maru, and really showing how he shored up both matchups. I haven't seen any TVT from Maru from I Am Katowice yet, but if you have any recommendations, that'd be awesome. And also be awesome to check out the recommended for more videos from me as well. And if you got the means of motivation, check out Patreon, YouTube membership, but I hear liking and subscribing is still free for now. And checking out the second channel for Stormgate, Zero Space, other games you might be interested in, streams, stuff like that, more content that the algorithm would not love to have here. But otherwise, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed both sets of games. And good luck, have fun. I'll see you next time. Stay tuned.